Well, okay, the time has come. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. Glad you're here. My name is Heng Sure. It is Friday, August 22nd. Wow, the third week of August already. Here in Berkeley, California, at the Berkeley Buddhist Monastery. And wherever you are around the planet, welcome to our lecture on Master Empty Cloud's picture biography. Glad you're here with us. I'm going to bring up our Dharma request screen, and Vera is going to request Dharma all the way from Brazil, and we'll get started. First thing I'd like to do is to make 3 half bows to the Buddha. Let's begin. Yi Wen Xun, Zai Wen Xun, San Wen Xun, all right. Vera, if you would like to go ahead and request Dharma, please do it now.
View this Sangha with great virtue, Lord of compassion, for the sake of His assembly and all living beings. We stand a wonderful Dharma view to teach us how to listen and attain bliss and burden as and quickly realize
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahadi sanmiao sanputoshe.
Namo Sadanto Suchedaya Adi Samya Sambuddhashe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿皆如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons, but now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Well, okay. 师父上人各位师兄大家阿弥陀佛 Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome again to Master Empty Cloud's picture biography. Glad you are here with us. We are going to skip over this screen and say that the Chocechno Ohlone people practiced their spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation here in their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years. Today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer our respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 我们就说，我们恭敬地承认 Chocechno Ohlone 人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬。并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民也致敬。All right. Oh, we have a beautiful bell for everyone today. Listen to this wonderful bell. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众上传3000界内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报贪恶厚德。Here we are. Save those changes. All right. So, my goodness. Welcome everyone once again. Glad you're here. 如果各位听不到我讲的英语，就听不懂，我们有办法。那个软件的右下角有一个地方，你可以找寻流利的普通话翻译啊，请你们随便去找啊。And if you would like to hear a Vietnamese, please check the link in the chat. We will deliver a beautiful, fluent Vietnamese translation for you. Furthermore, if you would like to request Dharma, our fearless, tireless coordinator will post the link right there. You can send an email to yuchunfifi@gmail, and you too can be a Dharma requester. Wow, what a select and wonderful group of blessed people that is. All right, well, our teacher, Master Empty Cloud, goes from one life-threatening challenge to the next, and we know that in 2 weeks ago, the lecture, he was just saved from a murderous doctor who had in his intention cutting open the stomach of our teacher while he was still alive, just for the cruelty of it, maybe for scientific research. That was after poisoning him, trying to kill him. Well, the poisoning didn't succeed, and thanks to the intervention of a kind-hearted Chinese layman, the vivisection didn't work either. So our teacher escaped, made it to Penang, and there at Jilesi was received by the monks who were waiting for him. And he was 10 days late, and they heard the story of what had happened to him. They couldn't believe such a thing was possible. That's just the accumulated karma, which I think the way to think about it is people would say, well, if he was such a good monk, how could these horrible things happen to him? Well, the answer is he put himself out into the world in order to propagate the Dharma. And he was doing so at a time when China was going through the Boxer Rebellion and invasion by foreigners and a number of disasters, and then civil war. This is just before the final end of the dynasty system, the dynastic system. The Republic of China was just about to be born in 1911. So this was a time of great turmoil. And in a time like that, if you stand up for what is good and true and proper and put your feet down and say that you are representing the Buddha's teaching, then all kinds of negativity comes your way, and karmic obstacles, personal ones and you could say national, huge obstacles come your way. Because why? Because you can digest them. So this is really a principle that I think everybody can benefit by understanding, which is, people say, wow, after I started to cultivate the way, miserable things happen to me? How come I broke my leg after I took refuge? How come I got these headaches after I took the precepts? How come I found myself with all kinds of strange people coming up to pick fights with me? Why is this happening? I thought once I took refuge and became a Buddhist, everything would be groovy and copacetic. Well, in fact, the story goes, this is really a principle, that it's not that taking refuge or taking precepts or cultivating the way causes bad things to happen. It's that the bad things that are waiting, that is to say the karma, the retribution of past behaviors, that from lifetimes beyond counting are all there as seeds in our collective unconscious, in our eighth consciousness. And before we create the merit and virtue from cultivation, we can't repay them. We don't have the sufficient blessings and merit and virtue to repay those karmic debts. So they stay potential. They stay latent in our consciousness. Once we move forward in our cultivation, once we progress and get the good stuff in our bank account of blessings, now we can repay those large karmic debts. And when they come to us in the form of headaches or a broken bone or bad luck or a loss of something, that's a much reduced result that could have come to us much worse. So, and yet when it's repaid in a reduced state, it's gone for good. We have removed those negative seeds from our storehouse of debts to repay. So the key to it is, can you be patient? Can you endure while those karmic retributions work their way out? That's the question. So we're seeing this 8th stage bodhisattva, Master Empty Cloud, go through these incredible, life-threatening circumstances. And it is because he has the merit of his cultivation to repay them, and also because, as I said, he is out there on the firing line, walking through Yunnan, coming up against a situation that has been gathering in Yunnan's Buddhist community for years, which is corruption. The monks there have forgotten how to cultivate the way. They've taken the property of the three jewels as their own, and they turn away sages like Master Empty Cloud, who just needs a roof over his head and a chance to warm up and heal from the wounds that he received by falling in the river, bumping downstream. They refuse to do that because it doesn't help them out. So in a situation like that, he says, I'm going to reform the situation. I'm going to put it back on the Buddha's proper track. Well, by saying that and by taking action, he is coming to the bullseye of an entire institution and a community of evildoers, of people who want to corrupt the Dharma. So, of course, because he's standing up for what is right and true, he is going to take the attacks of those who want to keep their comfort and their benefit going. So, in a situation like that, yeah, for sure, things come his way, but somebody shows up in the nick of time to save him. That's what happened. All right, so now we are moving forward. The word has come to Master Empty Cloud that what? The word has come. This we're going to just briefly scan last week's. Here we go. 135. Yi Tong Jin Jin Jing Qing Yuan. Arriving in the capital to join a group petition the government. Here's the picture. Master Empty Cloud, the bald-headed one, is riding in a funky carriage drawn by a horse, going into a big walled city, accompanied by ministers with a driver. So, official business. What kind of official business? Let's take a look again. We'll review this to get the background. Here we go. 与佛教会代表寂禅师等统进京请愿，抵京驻贤良寺、僧律司法安、龙泉寺道行、观音寺觉光祖师等，亲自交代，备记幽龙，彼此共商，如何进行挽救策略。此时若非公等佛教不知，依于胡敌。Okay, everybody get that? That's pretty fancy Wenyan. So those of you who don't read Wenyan, or maybe you're still working with your traditional characters, this is a good exercise for you. 就说如果你们大家不习惯，没机会读这个繁体字啊，或者呢就文言文，那这是我包括在内啊。I'm included in that group. Who this is a real workout to get this classical Chinese. All right. The master, Dharma Master Ji Chan, and the other representatives of the Buddhist Association entered the capital to present their petition to the government. Upon arriving, they stayed at Shenliang Monastery. The official head of Sangha affairs, Dharma Master Fa An, Dharma Master Dao Xing of Longquan Si, along with Dharma Master Jue Guang of Guanyin Si, among others, personally welcomed the master, supplying him with abundant provisions. The masters discussed among themselves how to rectify the situation and made plans for restoration. Had it not been for their efforts, who knows what would have happened to Buddhism. Sounds serious? Yeah, serious stuff. Shifu said, 三无灭佛，佛不灭，以在护教，教复兴。进京请愿，拔涉苦，留得功勋传古今. Three emperors named Wu persecuted the Buddhists, but Buddhism did not die. The teachings were protected and flourished once again. Going to the capital to present their petition, they traveled a difficult path. The story of their glorious merit has come down from past to present. All right. Now, this suddenly, this part sounded kind of boring, various monks who did this and where he stayed and all. And then you go over to the verse, and suddenly, major drama. Three emperors named Wu tried to destroy the Buddha Dharma, but they didn't succeed. And he is Hu Zhao, protecting the faith, and the Zhao, the faith, the church of Buddhism, the institution of Buddhism arises once again, going into the capital despite all kinds of stress and misery to get there. And as a result, their merit, the reputation of these courageous monks becomes eternal from past to present, is passed on from past to present. Okay, wow. Right? This is not light stuff. This is historic, prophetic language. What in the world is going on? So it turns out that throughout the long history of Buddhism in China, there have been three major persecutions similar to the Cultural Revolution, interestingly, where Buddhism, the government tried hard to eliminate Buddhism. The reasons were, and this is over thousands of years, mind you, and interestingly, all three of those emperors had the word martial in their name. One of them was at the end of the Tang dynasty, and it was a complete purge of Buddhism. They burned monasteries, destroyed the libraries, returned the Sangha to lay life, prevented people from leaving home, and took the Buddha images and melted them back into money, if they were copper or gold, and into metal that could be used for weapons. The reason at the time was because there were too many monks in robes and the emperor needed soldiers. Or the monasteries were power centers and the emperor was afraid. Chinese emperors would occasionally get super, what's the word? They were terrified. They were frightened that their power, their position was going to be usurped. So they would just reach out and persecute, get revenge on their enemies, assumed and true, assumed and real and imaginary. So monasteries came under the attack of emperors 3 different times. What happened in the previous section was that word came to Master Empty Cloud that the master received a telegram from Yunnan province Sangha saying the government was seizing monastery property. Now, what that means is soldiers show up at the monastery, break in, and take over and say this now belongs to the government. Often they're ransacking the place looking for money. And out in Yunnan is distant from the capital, from Beijing, but it is still China. And maybe the governor, maybe the military generals are more bandits than they are patriots. They might be more wild than they are, they may not be trained soldiers. They might be more like gangs. And they come in and take over. So what are you going to do? Are the monks going to fight back? Well, not. And so they send word to someone they trust, someone they hope can get the ear of the government. That would be Master Empty Cloud. And they say, help, help. We've been invaded by soldiers or bandits, and they say that they've confiscated the monastery and all our assets in the name of the government. What to do? That's the situation. So dangerous, right? So Master Jichan, who is out down in the south in Malaysia with Master Empty Cloud, travel. They are representatives of the Buddhist Association. In fact, the Buddhist Association didn't really exist at this point, but this was the dawn of the Buddhist Association in China. The official national Sangha Association began at this time with Master Empty Cloud at its head. So they went to Shenyang-si, and these are the names. They went to Longshan-si. Longshan-si is just to the north of Beijing. Also, Guanyin-si. There's multiple Guanyin-si, but this is the big one in town. And so, in other words, the important monks of Beijing in the capital welcomed Master Empty Cloud and said, oh, we heard the story of how you nearly died. We are so happy that you are here. We need your leadership. We need your reputation and your fame to help us present a petition to the emperor to please pay attention to what is happening to Buddhism in the name of the government. So the thing about, well, we'll get to this in a minute, but if you approach the Son of Heaven, even in their twilight years, you had better be on your A game. You better be at your very best, because if it goes wrong, the worst, well, at best, if it goes wrong, you can be ignored. At worst, if it goes wrong, is they can decide that you are a rebellious element and cut your head off and your whole family. So you don't casually go and approach the emperor. You better get it together. Now, the next episode talks about how the Buddhists got it together. You ready? Here we go. Wang Gong Zai Guan Hu Fa, receiving protection for the Dharma from princes, dukes, and officials. It's 1906. He is 67 years old. You want to see the picture? Here's the picture, an official reception. Here is a big official reception. Classic Chinese official reception. The monks here, a big reception hall, giant flowers, altar, and the emperor's representatives meeting them. 时苏亲王善齐，请公为其太傅尽说戒法。父有庚子岁，公随銮驾，护帝后西行时，各王公大臣就相知，多来探视，策划上奏注释仪，得各护法帮忙审理，注释顺利进行，奏上悬奉上谕庭。Brief language to describe a lot of action. Here we go. At that time, Prince Su Shangqi asked that the master explain a suitable set of precepts for his wife. Good stuff. Luckily, Moreover, the princes, dukes, and ministers whom the master had met while accompanying the emperor and empress and the imperial caravan during its westward flight in 1900 lent their influence in the formal presentation of the master's petition. Because of the profound power of the aid given by these Dharma protectors, all went smoothly, and as a result, an edict was proclaimed that brought the confiscation of Sangha property to a halt. All right. Now, once again, Shifu has to use economical language. He can't use many words just because of the limitation of space. So we will fill in the color in this black and white sketch. So this minister, who is Su Qinwang Shanqi, luckily happened to be a Buddhist, and this is an important, influential guy in the court. And he says, oh, I hear Master Empty Cloud is here. Oh, my wife was looking for an opportunity to progress in her cultivation. You suppose we might ask Master Empty Cloud to devise the 5 or the 8 or the lay bodhisattva precepts for her, whatever is appropriate? Of course, we could do that. So already they say, oh, here is the jie yuan, here is the source of the precepts. Maybe he could help my family. Well, I could do that. So then the imperial prince says, oh, I think maybe I can help you with the emperor. Fu you geng zi sui, okay? Gong sui. So also in 1900, when the empress and the royal court fled the Boxer Rebellion out to the west, there were all of these are all the names of royalty, princes, dukes, and officials. Those who were in the retinue in the following of the empress remember that Master Empty Cloud came with them all the way, step by step, lending his protection. So, 各王公大臣就相知. They say, oh, how are you? Have you recovered? We heard you fell into the river. We heard you got dysentery. We heard you were nearly killed. We're so glad to see you. You're a real bodhisattva. Let's help you. We understand there's a problem out in Yunnan. So they're like, hey, look at you. They put their palms together. They bow. Old friends who put in miles together, suffering together in times of danger. They know a true patriarch, a true patriot when they see one, and that's Master Empty Cloud. So how fortunate that he stood beside the Empress at a time when he could have abandoned, he could have ignored. He prayed for rain to help the starving people of the far northwest of China. And everyone remembers the goodness that he carries with him with every step that he takes. And they're so glad to see him. So they say, oh, you need to work a petition through the bureaucracy? Yeah, we know how to do that. Don't they know how to do that? So they all get together, they drink the finest of tea, they eat the finest of meals, they meet and talk and meet, and they plan how to petition, who to take the request to, exactly how to say it. Now, in the emperor's immediate Wenwu, Baiguan, the 100 officials of the military and the literary court, that is to say, all of the different heads of departments, there are some who are in favor, there are some who are in power, there are some who hold high office but are pushovers or corrupt, and you avoid them, and you go to the ones who are currently the real decision makers, and you say it just right, and you let them know who is in favor of this. And they hold their finger up to the wind, and they know exactly where the wind is blowing. And at this point, because of Master Empty Cloud's merit, virtue, blessings, and reputation, 诸事顺利进行, everything went through smoothly. 奏上, they offered the petition up. It did not get blocked, it didn't get stymied, it didn't get bargained for other deals, etc. Just the way a bill goes through legislature. And 旋风上谕, the emperor agreed, and one word, 停, stopped. The confiscation of Sangha property came to a halt. Okay, so look at this. Because Master Empty Cloud was such a relief when they were fleeing to have the emperors leave the capital city, that's terrifying. And to have Master Empty Cloud voluntarily travel with them, they were so grateful. So, 如是因,如是果, good causes, good results. Okay? 琉璃大王灭世种, 拼破沙罗请木莲, 肃亲王子维护法, 遂心满愿奉玉欢. The great and powerful Lapis Lazuli king demolished the Shakya clan. Then King Bimbisara entreated Madhyayana. In this age, Prince Su Shangqi served as a Dharma protector. The master's wish granted, an imperial edict was proclaimed. All right. Now, you can imagine are confiscating monastic property out in the West, to get that bill up to the emperor's eyes and then to have him agree and then write an edict and then enforce it, that doesn't happen. It happens slowly, if at all. There's all kinds of private interests that want to take a bite out of it or change it, blah, blah, blah. So it didn't happen because of the goodness of our teacher. Now, I happen to have this might be a little bit like it looks inside when the bill is introduced and everybody goes, oh, let's take a look at it. Yeah, what's this all about? Does the emperor like it? If so, we agree. If not, we never heard of it. Okay, here's the bill. Here is the emperor, the imperial edict that came down. Okay, so we've got it. We have a copy of what the emperor said, and it's quite wonderful to read uh, the sound of an imperial proclamation. Here we go. Shang Yu. It's really complex, so I'm going to goof it all up. Sorry. 前因臭办孙款，迭分谕制，不准巧立名目，和鸟平民。今闻名胜办理学堂工厂，诸多和挠而游，审至孙记方外，数属不成事体。诸各盖积福don't know 令地方官犯有大小寺院及一切僧众产业，一律由地方官保护，不准牺牲什么头。极端次要sorry， 治地方要正，亦不得累损庙产，以传正体亲此。Okay, I butchered it. Okay, so 你们会读中文呢？抱歉，对不起。哎呀。Okay, here we go. Imperial rescript. In the past, because of the need to raise donations, repeated edicts have been issued forbidding the creation of pretexts to oppress the poor. Recently, I have heard that in various provinces, in the process of establishing schools and factories, there has been much extortion, even levying donations from the Sangha, something wholly inappropriate. Governors and governors general of all provinces are hereby ordered to instruct local officials, all monasteries, large or small, and all property of the Sangha shall be uniformly protected by local officials, and no unscrupulous gentry or corrupt functionaries may use pretexts to cause trouble. As for important local affairs, temple property may not be coerced into providing donations in order to maintain proper governance. Respect this. 亲此. Isn't that good? Look at what follows. 此欲分后各生体四产之风，遂告平息. After this rescript was promulgated, the practice in various provinces of seizing temple property promptly ceased. 遂告平息. Following the proclamation, it stopped. How about that? So, based on what we read here, it seems that so it starts out, look at this, the way this was done. Because of the need to raise donations, people, meaning the government, have repeated edicts have been issued forbidding the creation of pretexts to oppress the poor. So unscrupulous, selfish, and greedy officials would come up with a reason to say, you need to give me money. It says the poor. It doesn't say Buddhists, but it starts wide and then it gets narrow. Recently, we, meaning I, the emperor, have heard that in various provinces, in the process of establishing schools and factories, they say, we need the money to create schools or factories. Of course, those never happen. The money goes into private pockets. There has been much extortion, even levying donations from the Sangha. Okay, there it is. They showed up at monasteries and demanded money from them. And if the monks who were penniless didn't come up with the money, they would steal things. They would confiscate stuff, say, we'll take your buildings instead. Something wholly inappropriate. That is really 去得分呢，甚至孙及方外，不成实体. This is wholly inappropriate. It does not accomplish it. 书不成实体. This is really complex classical Chinese, right? So you may not do this. This is from the emperor. This is like, There's a lot read into that language. Governors and governors general of all provinces are hereby ordered to, it's not, notice it gets them off the hook. It's not the governors or governor generals who are allowing this, it's their local officials. So this gives a chance for the governors and governor generals to save face. So you tell the people who listen to you, right? That notice how skillfully this is done. So we're not blaming the ones in charge. We're blaming the ones below who, of course, obey what you say. Instruct the local officials that monasteries, all large and small, and all sanghas property uniformly will be protected by the local police chiefs and bailiffs and magistrates. The local officials will obey you as you carry out my orders. Furthermore, no unscrupulous gentry or corrupt functionaries. That would be who? 一律有司地放光保护，不准. Okay, this is the language. I can't even read it. I don't even know what those words mean, how to read them. So it means this gives the local officials a chance to save face. We know it's not you, not the ones in charge. It's not the ones you are in charge of, your next level of officials. It must be unscrupulous gentry or corrupt functionaries. Those nasty, petty thieves, right? Unscrupulous. So both levels of officials get a chance to save face. They can turn around. The governors can blame the local officials. The local officials can say, well, it's not us. It's the unscrupulous gentry or corrupt functionaries. May not use pretext to cause trouble. Okay? So it's beautifully done. As for the important local affairs, temple property may not be coerced into providing donations. Important local affairs. 治地方要政. So when it comes down to 地方, local, like you want to what? Build a new office, or have a what? Build a bridge, or important, maybe have a portrait painted of the magistrate or something. Things that ordinarily could be budget items that could be pumped up by dunning people for money, right? Coerced into providing donations. The magistrate's wife wants a party for her daughter who is of a certain age or getting married, so you have to pay for it, poor people and monks. You may not do that in order to maintain proper governance. Of course, this is why 以不得累臣，以端为政体, the substance of the government. In order to make that auspicious, you may not do so. Respect this, says the edict. How cool is it to have an actual imperial edict when we know what it was about? And if you've seen Chinese period dramas on TV or in movies, when the guy with the funny hat shows up on his horse or in his carriage, and he gets out, and there's two armed bodyguards with him, and he unrolls the scroll, and in a loud voice he proclaims it. That's what this is. That's what we just read. I think this is so cool. Now, understand that the emperor has 4 years left. The entire imperial court, the imperial system, has 4 years of life before it simply collapses. So this is the last gasp of central government from the Empire on down, from the imperial palace on down. Yep. So my goodness. I'm thrilled to be able to find in Master Empty Clouds, in his Nianpu, in his autobiography, an actual copy of the edict that was, let's see here, 班一生，度师生，勤读的意思，勤读的意思。The pinyin for 雕身度义，雕身度义。Good. Okay. 班 and 度. That's good. I wouldn't know that otherwise. Okay. 雕身度义. All right. So we're learning these words. Here, we'll put these out there, so everyone can learn them together. Oh, not that one. How about this? Okay. 雕身度. Wow, 3 insects. 度义. 2 insects, a rock, and what is that top? Yeah, very interesting. Okay, cool. Wowie. I have another photo. This photo was taken at Qing Shan Si in Zhejiang. Here is our abbot, Jie who is standing next to the chair of the Zhejiang Buddhist Association, Master. Goodness, that hasn't happened in a while. 很少有这么一回事，就说关掉了。So I'm back. Apologies. So maybe I shouldn't show that photo. That's interesting. You suppose that's why people are upset about that photo? How interesting. Yeah. Okay, so we don't want to cause trouble. Anyway, so this was probably happened because I shouldn't compare any contemporary photo with the story of. I just had in mind giving everybody a chance to visualize what it might look like when the Sangha gathers. Especially, we are going to discover that this was the beginning of the Buddhist Association of China. These are important moments. So there we go. All right. We've lost his head. We want Master Empty Cloud to. There we go. All right. There is. So this is a safe photo. Yeah, occasionally when things like that happen, you wonder, why did that happen? Maybe you shouldn't be showing off. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for waiting, everybody. 感谢就临时走掉. It shows you how fragile are our connections that allow this to happen. So once again, because of our grand teacher's reputation, we have an opportunity to witness history of Buddhism, and through the lens of Buddhism, at the same time we have an opportunity to witness the history of China in the dawn of the 20th century. So that was 100 years ago, 100 and a quarter years ago, but still the things, the model for cultivation set by Master Empty Cloud then is with us to this day. When we go to China, particularly if we are interested in the world of Chan, and particularly at Yunjushan Zhenrusi, True Suchness Monastery at Cloud Abode Monastery, Cloud Abode Mountain in Zhejiang Province, in Jiangxi Province, sorry, we encounter the North Star of the Chan School, they call him. 就是这个宗门的态度, they say. Master Empty Cloud. His example of courage, of strength, of compassion, of just simply sticking to it, not quitting, keeping going. His example is this shining light to this very day. So the fact that we, who are the next, we skip a generation with Master Xuanhua, with Shifu Shangren, but Shifu was able to encounter Master Empty Cloud, absorb his teaching for several years at Nanhua Si and at Yunmen, and then receive the transmission of the Dharma from Master Empty Cloud back in 1957 and then 59. Master Empty Cloud entered Nirvana, and we got the picture biography. So, in other words, this legendary monastic, this hero in Buddhist robes, is very much alive in our awareness of how one shows up for the Dharma. And these keeping, just my chance to keep these stories alive is just,求而求不得的机会. It's an opportunity you could seek for and still never find. So, okay, well, more to come next week. We got to hear an imperial edict today, which is kind of amazing. We're going to dedicate merit with our Medicine Buddha mantra and really hope that all of the ills that can befall a country in a time of turmoil and transition can be healed by our sincerity. In preserving the vows of Medicine Buddha. So I've got my banjo here. Please make a wish to send it out, whatever kind of illness or disharmony or brokenness that you would like to heal with the power of this mantra. This is, what is it? This is number 7 of the 10 small mantras. Namo Boche Fati Bishasha Julu Bilioli, that one. Okay? So, how are you going to dedicate your merit? Here we go. Namo Bhagavate samyak sambuddhaya tagyata om Asaji Asaji Asaja Sangate Swaha Om Bhagavate Saja Guru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Antagataya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tagyata Om. Here we go. Aisaji Aisaji Aisaja Sangate Swaha One moment. There we go. Oh, no. Okay, close that. We can bow to Guanyin Bodhisattva, and Shifu's picture is right there. And we'll bow to that same image of Shifu. 3 bows to our teacher. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, we'll see you all next week. Thank you all for joining. Glad you were here. Vera, thank you so much for the Dharma request. We appreciate it immensely. See you all next week. Ami Tofo. Bye now.